You know, some stories start in the most unlikely way. This one begins with a wild, almost senseless bet over drinks, and it spirals into this profound thought experiment on life, on freedom, and what wealth really is. So let's dive into this incredible story of a 15-year wager that's probably going to challenge everything you think you know about being rich and what it really means to be free. And really, this whole thing boils down to one simple but massive question. It's a debate that's been around forever, right? But for two men at a party, this wasn't just some philosophical game. Oh no, it was the spark that would change both their lives forever. All right, so let's picture this. We're going back 15 years. An old banker is telling a story about a party he hosted. It was packed with intellectuals, journalists, the kind of crowd that loves a good debate. And the hot topic that night? Capital punishment. So on one side, you've got the host, the banker, and he's arguing, the death penalty is actually more humane. It's quick, it's over. But on the other side, there's this young lawyer, he's only 25, and he's saying, no way, any life, even locked away in a prison cell, is better than not living at all. And, as you can imagine, things got pretty heated. Well, the banker, a man with just unimaginable wealth, he gets completely carried away. He slams his fist on the table and wagers a crazy amount of money, 2 million rubles, that the lawyer couldn't even last 5 years in solitary confinement. But the lawyer? Oh, he wasn't just going to take that. He fires right back. He says, not 5 years, I'll do 15. And just like that, the deal is struck. The banker puts up 2 million, and the lawyer puts up the single most valuable thing anyone has, 15 years of his own freedom. A truly wild and senseless bet. Now, the rules for this, they were absolutely brutal. For 15 years, the lawyer would live in this little lodge on the banker's estate, total solitary confinement. He couldn't cross the threshold, couldn't see or hear another human being, no letters, no newspapers. But he was allowed books, music, wine, and tobacco. And his only connection to the outside world was this tiny little window where he could pass notes to ask for things. So you have to wonder, right? What on earth happens to a person under these conditions for 15 long years? Well, what we're about to see is this incredible journey of the mind and of the soul. And what we see is this amazing, almost unbelievable transformation. The first year, he's struggling with crushing loneliness, just reading light novels to escape. By year 5, he's hit rock bottom. He's just eating, drinking, and crying in despair. But then, something changes. From years 6 to 10, he just devours knowledge. We're talking 600 books on languages, philosophy, history. Then he spends a whole year reading just the gospel. And in the last couple of years, he's reading everything, just indiscriminately. Science, Shakespeare, you name it. It's like a drowning man clinging to every piece of human knowledge he can find. And this is where things get really deep. At one point, after mastering 6 different languages, the prisoner sends this note to the banker. And it reveals everything. He's not just learning facts, he says he's feeling an unearthly happiness. He's found an entire universe inside those 4 walls, a world built from books. Okay, so while the prisoner is having this spiritual awakening, what's been happening to our banker out in the real world? Well, his journey over those same 15 years was a very, very different story. Yeah, the guy who made that bet, that ridiculously rich, carefree guy, he's gone. Years of reckless gambling on the stock exchange, wild speculation, it's all just chipped away at his fortune. The man who once thought 2 million was nothing is now terrified at the thought of losing it. And this is where it gets really dark. On the night before the bet is over, he does the math, and he comes to this absolutely chilling conclusion. Paying out that 2 million is going to completely bankrupt him. The bet that started as a whim has now become a death sentence for his own fortune, and he decides it has to become a literal one for the lawyer. Okay, so picture this. It's the final night, cold, rainy, just hours to go before the bet is up. The banker, just consumed by desperation, sneaks out to the lodge. He's got the key, a key that hasn't been used in 15 years. And his plan is as simple as it is monstrous. He's going to kill the prisoner.
He creaks the door open, and what he sees, it's just shocking. The man asleep at the table looks like a skeleton. His skin is stretched thin over his bones. His hair is streaked with gray. He's only 40 years old, but he looks ancient.
But just as he's about to do the unthinkable, he spots something on the table, a letter. He picks it up and starts to read, and what's in that letter is going to save the prisoner's life and completely shatter the banker's soul. And the letter starts with this. It's a bombshell. The prisoner writes that he despises all the things he was supposed to be dreaming about: freedom, life, health. He says that in his books, he's experienced it all anyway. He's climbed mountains, he's loved beautiful women, he's seen empires rise and fall, all from his little room. He goes on to say that because of these books, he now sees all the so-called good things of the world as fleeting, like a mirage. And then he says it, "I know that I am wiser than all of you," because he's moved beyond all those earthly desires. And then he delivers the final blow, the ultimate twist. He says that to prove just how much he despises the material world, he is renouncing the $2 million. He's going to leave the lodge 5 hours early, deliberately breaking the terms of the bet, and forfeiting the very prize he spent 15 years of his life to win. So the banker reads this, and he's just broken. He weeps, not for the prisoner, but for himself, for his own greed. He kisses the sleeping man on the head and sneaks out. And sure enough, the next morning, the guards report that the prisoner climbed out the window and disappeared, leaving the money behind. The banker, to quiet any rumors, just locks the prisoner's letter away in his safe. His fortune is saved, but he's crushed by a new, profound sense of self-hatred. So let's just break this down. When the dust settles, what does the scoreboard actually look like? The banker is financially saved, but morally bankrupt. He's a prisoner of his own greed. And the lawyer? He walked away from millions, but he is spiritually enlightened and, you could argue, truly free. It really makes you ask, who was the real prisoner here? And that really brings us full circle, doesn't it? In a bet over money and freedom, one man lost his soul to his wealth, while the other man found his by giving it all up. So who do you think truly won the bet? And what is the real price of wisdom?